Thanks for tuning in and welcome back to the shop. If you're new here, this is our 2013 Mitsubishi Fuso FG and we're turning it into an overland camper. Last week I was working on building the first seat box, and today I'm going to continue on by building this set. Oh, wait a minute. That one's already done too. Well, the basic framework is done. There's still a lot to go. But before I get into any of that, those exposed terminals are a little bit concerning to me. So before I get any further, I want to protect these terminals by simply putting an old offcut board on them. Now I can't accidentally drop one of these pieces of aluminum extrusion across all the terminals. But there's nothing really holding that wood in place. Now it's only going to be there temporarily, so I don't really want to screw it in place. So I've come up with these little clips. By popping a couple of these in place, the board now can't slide off the side. The amount of potential energy in those batteries is not something to mess around with, so I feel much better now knowing that a tool or a piece of extrusion isn't going to fall and short out across all of the terminals. Because for now, I want all of the electrons to stay inside the batteries. My next step is going to be adding some strength to this corner. Because of the way that it's put together, this joint doesn't have a lot of strength in this direction. So the simple solution is to add another piece of extrusion that runs to the back corner. This simple addition prevents any inward and outward motion on the joint where the seat box attaches to the raised floor. It also provides structure on a straight line for the full width of the habitat box. Now, if you're wondering why I didn't continue this bar all the way across, that's a good question, but I'll tell you why. See, this bar back here has no weight carrying requirement, whereas this bar running across the front here is supporting a floor. So by having the front bar land on top of the vertical, the weight of the floor can get transferred without relying on the fasteners. In other words, I can put as much weight as I want here without risk of it pushing the bar down and only relying on this fastener. Because this entire center area is going to be a floor, it is going to need much more support. So the next step is to build a frame that can support it down the center. This frame is built the same way as I built the boxes, using 3D printed corner gussets that I design in SketchUp and then print on my Ender 3V2 3D printer. With the frame pre-assembled, I can just slip it in, and again I'm supporting underneath the front. And now this bar has a lot of support to stand on right here, along with here and again at the back. This divider is also going to be the supporting framework for the two drawers. So I don't think we can just leave the back end floating like that. If you're thinking of taking on a project like this, be prepared for a lot more corners and fittings than you'd originally expected. It's kind of like time. Take your estimate and then double it, and then double it again. On the flip side, if you compare this to the time it would take to weld all this together, the T-slot is the much faster option. Earlier this week, I printed off 66 more of these nut slugs. I currently have 4 left. But that's the beauty of these 3D printed parts. Anytime I need more, I just hit print. So while I'm waiting for the next 12 nut slugs to print, I'm going to install these under here to support that raised floor section even more. Speaking of supporting, if you want to help support this channel at no cost to you, every time you click on the Amazon links in the video description before placing items in your Amazon shopping cart, no matter what they are, you're helping to support the creation of the content on this channel, which hopefully in return helps you. With all this structure being added to the bottom, things are getting very strong, but up at the top, it's still floating. What do I mean by floating? Well, there's nothing actually anchoring the top to the wall. So if I pull in and out here, I can actually have it pull away from the wall. Can you guess what my solution is going to be? That's right, I've designed and 3D printed some wall clips. These clips are designed to pop into the track and pull tight and flush against the wall. The back of these clips are 1-inch square, which fits perfectly with this 1-inch wide 3M VHB tape. This VHB tape, which is linked in the description by the way, has a holding power of 90 pounds per square inch. So theoretically, if I place a clip in the track and press it to the wall here, it should be able to withstand 90 pounds of force trying to pull it off the wall. I should never see 90 pounds of force trying to pull this off the wall, but let's say we rate it at half of what the manufacturer does and we double up on the clips. That's still 90 pounds of force here and 90 pounds of force there. It's not going anywhere. I want to place this clip as high as possible on here to get the most retaining force away from the rotation point, which is the bottom. And you may be thinking I'd be much better to place the clips on this one, but if I place this clip in the vertical track, I always have the option to slide this bar up to get it out. If I placed a clip on the horizontal, I have no way of getting this bar out because I can't slide it towards the kitchen and I can't slide it towards the front. So with that, it's peel and stick time. Once you get the knack of peeling the backing off this tape, this job really only takes seconds.
Couldn't be easier.
Could I be using glue? Sure, but it can be messy and I don't need a whole lot of strength here. I'm just holding it in place, not supporting the overall weight. A couple of these simple little clips stuck in place and the whole structure gets much more rigid. While there is no waiting for glue to dry, it is important to note that VHB tape gains its strength over time, similar to glue curing. Because of this, it's important not to put a big load on it immediately before the adhesive has had time to gain its full holding power. But I don't need to worry, as I'm nowhere near ready to use these seats.
And now, with 12 more slugs printed, I can install the rear frame.
Just as soon as I snap all the nuts in. Whenever I'm fitting parts like this, I try to assemble the whole thing loosely before tightening anything down. This makes aligning the brackets easier and lets you shift things around to ensure an easy alignment of that last bolt. Once everything is threaded in loosely, then a quick zap with the cordless and everything snugs together nicely. It is important to note that I have the clutch on my drill set extremely low, and once everything is fully assembled, I'll go around and do one last tightening by hand.
Well, I've just done a quick count and I've gone through about 150 stainless steel bolts, which means I've gone through about 150 nuts, which means I've printed about 150 nut slugs, and I've gone through about 75 corner brackets. Now imagine if I'd had to pay $2 to $3 per corner bracket, that adds up quickly. Right now, my total for corner brackets is about $13. Very roughly, that puts my total build costs so far on these front benches to just over $200 Canadian. Which, if you ask me, for what I've got here, I think that's pretty good. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget to check out the video description for the links. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.